welcome to Feedback Friday. I'm Linda Kay.
And I'm Julie Smith.
The WWE Draft is in the books, and Raw and SmackDown now have two distinct rosters.
What do the rosters and the picks mean for each brand?
Find out when the boys analyze both Raw and SmackDown tonight on Feedback Friday, along with your comments as well.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Feedback Friday for Friday, July the 22nd, 2016. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero, and what a week it has been in professional wrestling and, quite frankly, the world.
We have had a SmackDown live draft.
We had a SmackDown live draft.
The RNC.
The Republican National Convention.
There has been so much stuff going on. I mean, my head's about to explode.
You know, it's interesting. We were actually going to have Ted Cruz on this program tonight, but...
oh, he changed his mind?
No, he was still willing to come, but we weren't sure what he was actually going to say once he got into the studio here, so we made a change.
I can't be mad at Ted Cruz. At least he wasn't like Bernie Sanders and, you know...
Well, he can't be. He's a Republican.
But but at least if Ted's not going to support someone, he's not going to support him.
He supported the Republican Party. He supported the Republican Party, did Ted Cruz.
He said vote your conscience.
Yeah.
There's only one person on the Republican side. He didn't support anybody.
Well, he didn't name him by name, but he said,
what would you have done?
Republican. If I were Ted Cruz, I can't put myself in his shoes.
I mean, kind of like at Blizzard Brawl last year when I thought you'd have my back. That didn't happen.
The wonders that can be achieved in front of a live audience with a live mic. That's all I got to say. Mm-hmm. But let's get to this week's top story, folks. And WWE, this is an expanded edition of Feedback Friday, by the way. We've got two top stories, but the same top story this week. Just follow along. WWE completed its brand extension draft on Tuesday, and the results were newsworthy, to say the least. Now, we wanted to take this time to break down the rosters and discuss the new possibilities on each brand. Let's first start, of course, with the flagship program, WWE Raw, and let's review the first 5 draft picks on Monday night's show, which were as follows. Seth Rollins, the number 1 pick, followed by Charlotte, and then called up from NXT is Finn Balor, followed by Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Those were the first 5 picks that Stephanie and Mick Foley made for Monday nights on Raw.
I think Charlotte, it was a huge stretch. Thank God the draft is scripted.
She does stretch on her finisher.
Because she never would be a top 5 pick.
Whoa. She's a women's champion. Right. She's part of the women's revolution in professional wrestling. She is the daughter of the Nature Boy.
How many drafts have you and I done over the years?
We've been doing the draft since it's about 5 or 6, yeah, absolutely.
Have we ever had one of the divas or knockouts in our top 5?
I can't answer that right now. I don't have enough information to say, but I don't think we have.
Never. It's usually like in the supplemental round.
But she's a champion. Don't you want champions on your team? You're saying it was a bad pick?
How do you not take a Kevin Owens number 2?
It feels as if they were creating a story with Kevin Owens not being picked over the course of the evening.
And they will. And he'll have a great, just Charlotte, number 2? I mean, come on.
Well, she's technically number 3, but she was the number 2 pick for Raw, yes.
Yeah.
They went Rollins over to SmackDown, and then they went Charlotte. That was like, literally, that was the second person that they picked for their show.
That's when, for me, all credibility of the draft went out the window.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't understand you harbored such hatred for Charlotte.
No, I don't. It's just...
Or women.
I have been doing fantasy sports for over 20 years, okay? You go with the studs. You go with the ones that are going to win.
So because she's a woman, you just said you go with the studs.
She could be a stud.
How?
Well, but she's not going to get that many opportunities.
Like a stud, the term comes from like a stud horse, that you use for breeding.
Well, if that's how you want to look at it, I'm not talking about animal sex. I'm talking about the women's division as opposed to the men's division.
I think they made a statement with Charlotte's pick being number 2 on Raw, saying that the women matter, the women's championship matters, and that Charlotte is a big enough star to rank that high.
No,
whether she is or isn't, I believe that's the message they were trying to send.
They're trying to make it seem like she's a big enough star.
That's what I just said.
If you wanted belts, then you should have taken the tag belts, the U.S. belt, the IC belt.
Well, Raw did get the women's champion. They also did get the tag team champions in New Day. Mm-hmm. They also, it's a long list of people.
They got the United States champion Rusev.
They did, absolutely.
So they have 3 of the 5 titles on their brand.
Yeah, and one's got to assume there's going to be a Cruiserweight championship since the Cruiserweight division has been announced as exclusive to Raw. But how about the biggest story of these five, I think?
Wait, pump the brakes.
I have anti-lock. I shouldn't pump them.
Seriously.
Hold on.
When they drafted Charlotte, you didn't think that was kabuki-ish?
No, I thought it was great. As a fan, I said, well, okay, that's surprising. That's awesome.
Oh, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. You're not going to win with her. But, you know, if you want to collect titles, then it makes sense. But it was a bad pick.
You're looking at it simply as the number 2 pick, not the full number of picks that were made comprising the entire WWE draft and comprising the female roster over on Raw. So let's talk about the female roster over on Raw, which includes Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax,
which I thought was a fantastic pick.
She's got to change the spelling of that.
She's a super fan. That's The Rock's cousin.
Paige, Summer Rae, Alicia Fox, and Dana Brooke. That's a pretty solid group of women over on Raw.
It really is. I mean, you got Sasha, you got Nia, you got Paige, you got Foxy.
So they built it. They took Charlotte and then built underneath Charlotte a pretty solid women's division.
I agree. Where do you get all these notes from?
Well,
I don't have all that.
You don't have all of your interns keep quitting. Something about
they want to get paid.
Something about that.
Said
he's like just like Roger. What's that guy's Roger?
Kent?
No.
Roger.
You
Moore?
like Fox News, right?
Roger Moore?
Roger Ailes.
Who?
Yeah, he's got some problems right now. You might want to clean up your act a little bit. But however, from there came the first call-up from NXT, expectedly so, over to Raw, Finn Balor.
And that was a huge pick. I consider that to be the number 2 pick. I think Charlotte was just cosmetic. But to bring up Finn Balor at number 3 on Raw makes him an instant star.
It does, yes.
Well, look who... Okay, they took him before Reigns, Lesnar, Sami Zayn, Jericho, Rusev, Owens, Enzo, and Big Cat. I mean, so many ahead of. So obviously, they're going to invest a lot into it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But how does Finn Balor fit into the Raw structure as far as you see it? Some have speculated that perhaps he's going to be part of the Cruiserweight division. I think that's quite silly if that were to be the case. But, you know, Finn Balor is a star and has made a bigger star now on a grander stage of Raw.
He is going to come in as the top prospect.
Now, you know,
as the rookie.
Absolutely.
And everyone's going to take their shots at him, and all he's going to do is gain momentum.
Here's what I'm looking forward to, and hopefully they do it this way, and I think they have to. The Demon entrance on Monday's Raw coming up in a few days.
No, you got to save that.
Save it? No, it's his introduction. You got to.
Here's why. Here's why. Because they have the Demon Kane. You can't have the Demon Finn Balor.
Kane's on SmackDown.
Right, but Kane has the Demon gimmick.
On SmackDown. Can't they both have a demon? It's separate but equal, David Hero.
I think you should have him as Finn Balor to start, eventually bring out the other character down the road. Make it mean something.
A lot of people have also speculated, as there has been a lot of speculation since the draft names were announced on Tuesday night, that maybe, since AJ Styles is now on SmackDown, which we'll talk about in a moment, that Finn Balor and the Balor Club joins Gallows and Anderson over on Raw.
I could see that. I think that would be great. I think Anderson and Gallows need a third guy.
How great is Finn a talker, in your opinion?
I don't know.
Some of his pre-NXT stuff is pretty awesome, but I'm not sure if I can recall a Finn Balor promo, if you will, in NXT that blew my mind away. But at the same time, I'm not sure he needs to talk very much.
No, you know what? I think promos are great, but if you remember back in, let's say, the 80s, you had managers that did a lot of the talking. The talents didn't have to talk. I think promos have now become overrated. If you can't tell your story in the ring, you better be a good talker. Finn Balor can tell his story in the ring.
Great point.
He doesn't need to talk.
Excellent point. Roman Reigns. You thought that perhaps he would be the centerpiece of SmackDown. I agreed with you on that. However, he remains on Raw.
Did I think that? I thought it was going to be John Cena was going to be on SmackDown.
Actually, you did do that. It was John Cena, SmackDown, Roman Reigns on Raw.
Yeah.
So is this still good for you?
Absolutely. Listen, Monday night is still the must-see show. That's the one that's always going to sell the tickets. It's the established brand. People are going to tune in Mondays to see those stars. And
Currently,
you're going to see them. Yes.
Currently.
SmackDown's going to get there. That's why they got the guys they got.
On primetime tomorrow night, we have some data that shows that they may have gotten there just this quickly with 1 week.
Well, it was live and it was the draft. It was a special attraction.
Why are you always? You're always apologizing.
I'm not apologizing
You're
for
an
anything.
apologist.
I'm being very honest.
You're
very
apologizing.
open.
You're speculating. You're conspiring. You're venturing.
Venturing?
Yeah.
Jesse?
Conspiracy theorist. Yeah.
Look at the world we live in right now. It's
I'd
all
rather
about
not,
conspiracies.
So it was also later announced that there would be a shakeup at the announce position on Raw as well. While Michael Cole remains the lead voice of Raw, joined by Byron Saxton, who a lot of people don't like for some reason. I don't understand.
Because they remind people of you.
They are all both now going to be joined by Corey Graves, who comes up from the NXT realm as well.
Interesting.
And Corey Graves have been appearing on the pre-show for a long time.
They've been trying to go younger on Raw for a long time. That's why they moved Jerry Lawler to SmackDown. They wanted to get a younger announce team.
Yeah.
I like Corey Graves. I think he's solid. I think Saxton, well, he's a good fit. You know, Michael Cole is very underrated.
Tremendously underrated, absolutely.
You know?
Yes.
He is very good at what he does.
Yes, he is. Yeah. However, well, it's different styles. I don't think Cole has. He shows it at times, but he doesn't have as much passion as maybe a Jim Ross had or a Mauro Ranallo has now.
Because Michael Cole is too busy multitasking the whole show.
Running the show. Yeah.
He's too busy promoting stuff on hashtagging and tweeting.
Well, they're doing the same on SmackDown.
It's different, though. I mean, he is Vince's right-hand man.
From an announcer standpoint,
Yes.
absolutely. And he spends a lot of time backstage coaching on SmackDown as well.
And Jim Ross, he is the guy that tells the stories. Michael Cole's not a storyteller. He's a facts guy.
Yeah. Well, it came from a news background. You know, one thing we didn't talk about, though, and that's going to be a good announce team, I think. And we'll talk about what happened on the SmackDown side of things after the break. But a lot of talk also about what Cesaro had to say after being picked as number 28 in the draft to the Raw roster. As a matter of fact, I believe he was picked on the post show on the WWE Network, and a lot of people have having a lot to say about his promo afterwards, or his interview afterwards, where he said he was a better fit for SmackDown because that show is going to be more wrestling driven.
They're trying to get storylines established with these guys already.
Here's what's interesting, though: they uploaded every single post interview from the draft to their YouTube account, but that one, WWE did.
Huh. Well, that's how people are still talking about it.
Remember, though, when JR got drafted back in 2008 to SmackDown, and he did an interview after Raw that was on.
Dude.
Do you don't remember it?
No, of course not.
Okay. Jim Ross was drafted to SmackDown. Michael Cole was drafted to Raw in 2008.
Yes.
Afterwards, Jim Ross, it was a shoot. He didn't know. Afterwards, he gave a similar promo on interview on the post Raw show. I think it wasn't on WWE Network. It must have been on the app or WWE.com or something at the time. And it was similar in tone to that of Cesaro, showing dissatisfaction with the positioning and the location that they got placed in. Does Cesaro have any validity or any meat to his claims of rather being on SmackDown?
You know, I don't know. I mean, for as talented as Cesaro is, and of course it's up to the writing and creative team as to how he's being booked, but he hasn't done much. You know?
He's been very prevalent as of late, wrestling each and every week on Raw.
But he's not doing anything special.
Oh, he does the Cesaro swing. He's got his tape designs on it.
And he's got the uppercut that is overdone because now he can't beat anybody with uppercutting a guy 20 times in a match.
He was picked before Sheamus, who was number 30. That should be good.
Yeah. But look at who else was after that, though.
Golden Truth, Titus O'Neil, Paige, Darren Young.
I mean, think about it. I mean,
the Dudleys.
There wasn't much left.
Mark Henry. Bo Dallas.
Who was the last pick overall in the whole thing?
The last pick overall was Curtis Axel.
At number 58?
For Raw. Last pick actually was Carmella, number 59, from NXT to SmackDown, yes.
Amazing.
How so? I believe that pick actually happened Wednesday morning. But
just look at who wasn't picked. Your boy Heath Slater.
What's happening there? Because they're making a story out of it.
Yes, that's why.
Because who else would have noticed that he wasn't picked?
Well, Heath Slater noticed. He was the only guy sitting in.
I thought he was part of the Social Outcast, though.
But they split them up.
But I thought they all got drafted, the Social Outcast.
No, only 2 of the 3.
Because he's no longer part of it? How did I miss that breakup?
They didn't break up.
They picked Axel and Bo Dallas and left
Bo
Heath
Dallas
Slater on
separate.
purpose?
Yes.
That's even better. That's tremendous. They're talking about, there were some tweets going out or whatever. I think Joey Styles sent it out saying, does this mean Heath Slater has been drafted to Evolve, which we know WWE has been working with. They had an event, Evolve 64, last weekend. I think Cody Rhodes is going to be appearing at an upcoming Evolve event, if not last weekend. So interesting story developing there as well with Heath Slater, the one-man rock band.
They're doing,
The man who won me the draft in 2000.
Yeah, exactly. And now look
12,
where he is.
11.
See, it's called karma.
Still worked out for me. I'm still a multi-time draft
Well, look
winner.
what happened to him.
Folks, when we come back, we take a look at the SmackDown roster, and we also have your comments, of which we got several, on the WWE draft. All that in just a few seconds when Feedback Friday returns.
At Gruber Law Offices, we understand that when you've been injured, life is tough. That's why we offer so many services for free. First call, free. First consultation, free. Stuck at home or in the hospital? We'll come to you for free. We'll deal with the insurance company for you and get you the help you need. Call Gruber Law Offices now. We don't get paid until you do, and your first consultation is always free.
Welcome back, fans, to the Pro Wrestling Report Feedback Friday. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero. In-depth discussion about this past Tuesday's WWE Draft, which was live on SmackDown. And let's continue our look at the draft with talking about SmackDown and SmackDown's roster specifically. Now, SmackDown started off their draft picking the following 5 names: Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, John Cena, Randy Orton, and Bray Wyatt alone were the first 5 picks for SmackDown. Your thoughts?
I thought it was great. I mean, you got the current champ. You got the hottest guy in the company, AJ Styles.
The hottest guy in the company.
He is. And,
Okay.
and then you got, 2 of the biggest stars of the last 15 years on your brand, John Cena and Randy Orton. And you got Bray Wyatt. I mean, is it as impressive as the first 5 picks on Raw? No.
All
It's not.
5, including Charlotte?
Well, okay. The 4, excluding Charlotte, I think is better than the 5 there.
Let me ask you this, though. With these 5, you can see a story develop right away. Because John Cena is clearly taking a role more so of getting over new talents versus being the talent. And you got to assume Randy Orton's going to hop into a similar role.
When was the last
as
time
well.
a top guy decided to help the younger guys and put them over?
Jericho's done it for years. Cena's been doing it for about a year.
Top guy.
Cena's been doing it for about a year.
When I say top guys, I'm saying Hogan, I'm saying Savage, I'm saying a Goldberg, a Sting, a Rock and Austin.
They didn't.
But John Cena will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Says a lot about him and says a lot about his pride and what he's contributing to the company. Now, what's also interesting is John Cena hasn't been on house shows since he's been back. So don't know if this means he's going to begin the SmackDown tour of shows, if you will. But I think that these 5 really tell a story about what SmackDown's going to be going forward. And you look at some of the other talents that were drafted to SmackDown. You've got an Alberto Del Rio, who arguably as well hasn't done much lately. But then you've got the standout Dolph Ziggler, who a lot of people want to see more out of, and we did get a brief chance to see more out of.
I thought Baron Corbin was a pretty high pick on SmackDown.
It was a very high pick. He was picked number 19 overall.
He was picked ahead of Ziggler, Del Rio, Zack Ryder, and Apollo Crews.
That was a really late pick on the network.
You think they forgot about him?
Well, I think Big Show got picked before him as well, didn't he? Over on Raw, Big Show number 23.
Yes.
Apollo Crews was what, number 45.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Even Eva Marie was picked.
She was number 51. The Vaudevillains picked really late in the draft as well. It seems like their star has faded a little bit. Maybe it can get some more shine over on SmackDown.
But American Alpha,
big pick for them.
great pick.
Big pick for them. So what are your thoughts on the SmackDown brand overall and its shorter roster, necessarily so because it's a shorter show, their smaller roster, led by the WWE Champion, Dean Ambrose, the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, and those are the champions that they have on that brand.
I thought that the draft for SmackDown was perfect. Because if you want to see the world champion, you got to watch SmackDown to see him.
Now, we don't know this for sure, but the reports are that they probably will. But do you think there should be another champion on Raw?
There should be. There should. But, I mean, for right now, let's not. Imagine, though, the top 5 on Raw. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. I can't put Finn Balor in there yet and Charlotte in there yet, but those three are going to want a belt to fight over.
They need one, don't they?
They do.
They need something to fight over. Otherwise, they have nothing.
Yes.
So you were advocate of the champion flipping between both shows. That's not going to be the case. So then it sounds like you're saying now that Raw should have its own championship.
They should.
They got to have something to strive to, right?
Yes.
Makes sense. So a lot of people have said, though, that SmackDown's roster was a bit lacking comparative to Raw. Do you disagree or agree with that statement?
Well, as far as star power, yeah. I mean, when you don't have a Roman Reigns or a Brock Lesnar on your brand, it hurts. But
you got
Cena and Orton.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, two studs. And let's not forget, you're still going to see Daniel Bryan every week.
Huge.
Just like you're going to see Mick Foley on Raw every week.
Huge.
So they're adding stars in different ways.
Was Mick Foley a good pick for the general manager of Raw?
Because of his show Holy Foley coming up? Absolutely.
It was a bit surprising, though. Not quite what I expected. I don't know who I expected. I mean, last week we talked about it being Triple H.
You know what would have been interesting, though? Imagine if Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan would have drafted Triple H on SmackDown.
Shouldn't they have?
Why not?
I think in the rules that WWE themselves released prior to the draft, it said that part-time stars like Brock Lesnar, Triple H, whatnot, were not available in the draft. Yet Brock Lesnar was drafted to Raw. Should Brock have been drafted anywhere?
Why not?
He seems like he could play the role of, I'm not following your rules, I do what I want, I'm going to go on whatever show I want.
I hope he does. I hope he pops up on SmackDown once in a while.
I think he can get away with that, absolutely.
I mean, he failed 2 piss tests in UFC. He's still around. He can do whatever he wants.
That's what does that say about WWE's drug testing policy?
That he wasn't tested. Well, wait, that's not fair. He wasn't tested
for those same substances.
Everyone gets tested. But maybe they didn't say that. Maybe they didn't say, hey, Brock, you're only here 4 times a year, 5 times a year. You got to come in on this day. What if he wasn't scheduled at TV when they did their testing?
Well, and that's a valid point and a fact that needs to be made. A point that needs to be made is many of the part-time stars aren't subject to the same frequency of testing than
if you have a Legends deal, you don't got to. No, not at all.
So let's talk about the women's division over on SmackDown as we talked about it on
Where's
Raw. That is going to be led by, I would say, the biggest star would be Becky Lynch and Natalya, joined by Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Eva Marie, and Carmella.
Yeah, the women's division is very lackluster on SmackDown.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I was thinking about this. Naomi. A year ago, everyone was saying, give her the belt. Give her the belt. Mm-hmm. Naomi.
She had a good run.
And she's disappeared.
Didn't she? Was it her or the other girl that said something on Twitter when Rusev, not Rusev, when Ryback had his whole thing? One of them came out and supported him.
That was Naomi's tag partner, whatever. the one that said that Alicia Fox.
It was Peppa.
And Trish Stratus had the best match ever, I think, whatever it was.
However, though, the tag team division on SmackDown leaves a lot of opportunity, David Hero. American Alpha, as we discussed, the Usos, the Ascension, Tyler Breeze and Fandango, the Vaudevillains, and potentially Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley.
Basically, with the exception of the Usos, it's the NXT tag team division.
Sure is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It absolutely is. In its entirety, from within the last 6 months.
Yes.
It's not a bad thing, though.
No, not at all. American Alpha, I hope they can deliver on SmackDown.
I don't think there's a doubt. They are tremendous tag team wrestlers, or tag team specialists, if you will. And I think that there is so much great about them, so much greatness about them as a tag team and as athletes that it's going to take a lot to derail them, I think.
Well, let's hope. Because they are extremely talented. A lot of people were complaining about who wasn't drafted from NXT. The Baileys, the Bobby Roodes, the Samoa Joes.
The Austin Arieses, the Eric Youngs.
If you take those guys, who's left in NXT?
Yeah, you can't reap NXT.
It's still a touring company.
Yep, absolutely, folks. But just like over on Raw, the SmackDown announce team saw a shakeup as well. Mauro Ranallo still leads the SmackDown table. He is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to go on record and say this. I agree with you. Michael Cole is underrated and underappreciated, but Mauro Ranallo is on his way to being as notable as a wrestling announcer as both Jim Ross and Gordon Solie. Because he shares the same passion. He delivers the same passion with his voice on the television.
And the fans appreciate him.
Absolutely. But Ronaldo's now going to be joined by JBL, who's moving over from Raw, stepping up to a full-time commentating role will be David Otunga.
But where's the King?
Jerry the King Lawler, no longer on weekly WWE television programming. However, he has been added to the pre-show panel for both the Raw pre-show and I assume there's going to be a SmackDown pre-show now,
You know
and
what's
the pay-per-view
interesting
events.
is Jerry on his social media has been posting pictures of himself with his girlfriend again.
Has he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's interesting.
How so?
Well, I mean, she got him in quite a bit of trouble.
Same girlfriend.
Yes.
Are you saying that perhaps Jerry's being punished for that situation by being moved off of SmackDown, or is it more of your comment of earlier how they've been looking for younger announce teams?
Well,
I mean, Jerry's 66 years old.
Right, they've been looking for younger, but when you dodge a bullet like that, why do you put the gun back in your mouth?
Speaking of Jerry Lawler going
Why
back
are you
to
laughing?
her.
Why is that fun? Why is that funny?
It's funny because it's true.
You almost lost your career.
No, yeah, it's true.
Okay?
Yes.
You went to jail.
Yes. But maybe
Okay.
they love each other. Folks, coming up next, we share some of your comments on the draft and our thoughts on the same. That's next, right here on Feedback Friday.
As you know, PWR is a proud partner of the revolutionary Fight TV. That's FITE, which is available free on the iTunes and Google Play Store. And we are pleased to announce the exciting change in our programming. PWR Feedback Friday can now be seen as featured scheduled content on its own channel on Fight every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. PWR Primetime is also now a featured scheduled program premiering every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern as well. Don't wait to download the free Fight app, which also features Ring of Honor, Wrestling Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern right before Raw, and much more.
Welcome back, folks, to Feedback Friday. Damian Nelson sitting here alongside David Hero. Thank you so much for joining us here for this extended edition, draft edition, I guess you can call it, of Feedback Friday. And as always here on Feedback Friday, we like to share your comments that you left with us via social media and on our YouTube channel. Let's go firstly to YouTube user by the name of Paulo Rogue, who said, and I quote, "I somewhat agree with David when he says that fans are pre-programmed to watch Raw, but I believe that is something that will last short term. Whether it's Raw or SmackDown, fans are going to watch whichever they feel is the better overall show. When the first brand split occurred, at first I watched both shows. A couple of months later, I would frequently skip Raw and solely watch SmackDown because it was the better show compared to Raw. I had friends who did the same or would watch Raw and skip SmackDown. I believe this is likely to occur with fans more often this time around, with both shows now being live and on back-to-back nights." He ends with saying, "Thanks for consistently providing great programming and keep up the great work." That comment clearly directed at me.
Yeah, well, because you're all about programming, right?
Programming is king.
Yeah.
Content is king.
No, I mean, it's going to be interesting with SmackDown being live. There's no more spoilers.
Which is great. And we just don't know. I mean, we won't know for not even weeks, but for months, whether or not SmackDown is the runaway show, which I still think it will be compared to Raw, just because SmackDown is so much easier to digest.
And here's why. 1, 2, 3, 4. You got
Better lock your
4
door.
of the 6 NXT kids on SmackDown. It's a younger team on SmackDown.
It's going to be the cool hit
and
show.
they want to prove that they are as good, if not better, than the guys on Raw.
Yeah. There is going to be true competition as much as
SmackDown is going to
WWE will
those
allow.
guys are going to be chasing Raw.
Which is great. Do you think given these rosters, do you think we're going to see dual branded? Well, we'll talk more about that tomorrow on Primetime. We're going to look at the overall state of WWE tomorrow on Primetime. But let's get to our next comment, folks. Stone Cold 10 times is the user on YouTube, said, and I quote, "I agree that we are predetermined to see Raw, but I also believe seeing the Authority with new people won't work, and it will be the same. And if that's the case, what Damian says about SmackDown won't be far-fetched." And that was sort of what we talked about I feel SmackDown's going to be the runaway show.
Aren't you also the biggest prognosticator on this show?
No, I'm just sharing my opinion.
Hey, just rolling the dice.
I don't gamble on this.
Well, you
It's
can't.
not legal.
who would take a bet on wrestling?
Folks, thanks for those comments. And remember, in order to have your comment considered here on this very program, all you need to do is follow us on social media at PWR Show, or to go ahead and comment on our videos on YouTube. And you can also use the commenting feature on Fight, F-I-T-E, Fight TV, where PWR Feedback Friday will now be debuting Fridays at 8 o'clock p.m. on the app. Folks, the conversation continues tomorrow on Primetime when we take a look at the state of WWE overall after the draft, along with Be the Booker for the somewhat forgotten about WWE Battleground pay-per-view tomorrow on Sunday night. All that tomorrow, Primetime, 10 o'clock p.m. Central on My24 Milwaukee, Fight TV, and YouTube. Until then, for that one, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow on Primetime.